POV, you are 29 years old and your bank account has $340 in it. You have a business degree, 0 job offers, and a very active imagination. Your friends are buying houses. You're splitting a Wi-Fi password with 4 roommates. You start doing research. The wrong kind. The internet has a lot of thoughts on this, most of them illegal, some of them surprisingly practical. Key insight number 1. Old money concentrates in specific zip codes. Key insight number 2. Widows in those zip codes are lonely. Their children are busy. Their friends are dead. Key insight number 3. Country clubs are how you get in the room. You have a plan. It is not a good plan, but you have nothing else. You pack everything you own into 2 bags. It fits. You drive 14 hours to Palm Beach. Your car has 200,000 miles on it. Palm Beach hits different when you're broke. You get a room in the cheapest motel that's technically still in Palm Beach County. You go to the country club in your one good shirt. You ask for a job application. The interviewer asks why you want to work in hospitality. You say, "I love people." You get the job, events coordinator, $12 an hour plus tips, first day at work. You study every member. Name, approximate wealth, family situation. Week 2. You identify 7 potential targets. You narrow it to 3. Number 1 on the list, Margaret. 78, widowed 4 years, worth approximately $200 million. You circle her name. You feel 0 guilt about this. That will change. Research phase. You learn everything about Margaret before you speak to her. Her husband was oil money, Texas, then Florida. She managed most of it herself after he died. Her dog is named Biscuit, a golden retriever. This is important. Her favorite flower is the yellow rose. Her late husband proposed with yellow roses. You practice your smile in the motel mirror for 20 minutes. Thursday. Margaret arrives at 11:30 a.m. Same table by the window. Yellow roses in the vase already. You walk over. You say, "Excuse me, Mrs. Margaret. Is everything comfortable today?" You do this for 3 weeks. Same question, same warmth. You learn her name before she gives it to you. Week 4. She asks your name first. She looks at the roses. She looks at you. You see something shift in her eyes. You file that feeling away. You're not here to feel things. The next Thursday, Biscuit comes. You act like he's the best dog you've ever seen. He likes you immediately. Dogs are terrible judges of character. Margaret invites you to walk Biscuit during your break. You say yes immediately. She talks about her late husband for 20 minutes. You listen like it's the most interesting thing you've ever heard. She says something genuinely funny. You laugh. It's real. You didn't plan that. You make a note that night. Don't get attached. This is a transaction. Tuesday. Margaret isn't at her table. You ask the maitre d'. She's at home, her back. You send flowers, yellow roses, to her house, from the club. As a wellness gesture, she calls the club to say thank you. She asks if you chose the roses. Margaret is back the next Thursday. She saves you a seat at her table for lunch. You have lunch with a 78-year-old woman. It's the best conversation you've had in years. She asks real questions. Where are you from? What did you study? What do you actually want from life? You say, "I want to feel secure." That's honest. That's also convenient. She says, "My husband worked 60 hours a week for 40 years because of that same fear. He never stopped." The lunch has become a Thursday tradition. Then Tuesday also. She invites you to her house for the first time. To meet Biscuit properly. The house is something else. You drink tea in a room that probably costs more than your parents' house. She shows you the garden. She planted everything herself. 15 years. You help her weed for an hour. You don't plan to. You just start. She laughs at something you say. It's the best laugh. You're in trouble. You go home. You sit in the motel room. You open the notebook. You can't write anything. You message someone else. Someone your age. Someone you've been talking to since before Palm Beach. Her name is Aisha. She's your actual age. She thinks you're in Palm Beach for a job. Technically true. You don't tell Aisha about Margaret. You don't tell Margaret about Aisha. 3 months in. Margaret calls you her friend. You feel terrible. You keep going. You meet her children. 3 video calls. They are suspicious of you immediately. The daughter calls you a gold digger to your face. Via video call, you say, "That's a serious accusation." You tell Margaret what happened, minus the parts that are true. Margaret says, "My children think everyone wants my money." Sometimes they're right, 6 months in. Margaret takes you to her foundation board meeting. She runs that meeting like a CEO. You had no idea. After the meeting, she introduces you to the board as a dear friend. They all look at you the way the children did. You are in too deep to get out. The plan is still the plan. But Margaret is no longer just a target. Month 8. Aisha asks when you're coming back. You say, "Soon." You don't mean it. You take Margaret to see the gardens at the Flagler Museum. She cries at the roses. She tells you about the day her husband proposed. He got down on one knee in a garden exactly like this. You make the calculation, you make the decision, you push the feeling down. Month 9, you buy a ring. It costs everything you have saved. You tell yourself, it's an investment. The ring will be worth it. You plant yellow roses in Margaret's garden without telling her. A whole new bed. She discovers them on Saturday morning and doesn't say anything for a full minute. She looks at you. She says, "Nobody has done anything like this for me in a very long time." You propose that afternoon, in the garden, with the yellow roses behind you. She says yes. She hugs you. You hold on for longer than you planned. Aisha calls that evening. You don't pick up. The children call Margaret. Separately. All 3 of them. The same evening, the daughter flies down from New York. She requests a meeting. With both of you. The meeting is an interrogation. She has done research. She knows about the motel. She knows about the application. Margaret listens to everything. Then she asks the daughter to leave the room. Margaret looks at you. She says, "I want you to answer me one question honestly." She asks, "Did you plan this?" You say, "Yes," and then you say everything else. Margaret listens to all of it. Then she says something you don't expect. She says, "I know. I've known for a while." She says, "I also know when something starts as a plan and becomes something else. I watched it happen." She says, "The question is what it is now, not what it was." You say, "I don't know." And that's the most honest thing you've said. She says, "I'll think about it." She invites you to stay for dinner. Biscuit still likes you, even after all of this. Dogs are terrible judges of character. Margaret says yes, to the wedding, with conditions. Condition 1, a prenuptial agreement. Everything she had before the marriage stays hers. You sign it. Without hesitation, she watches your face when you sign. Condition 2, you continue working. She doesn't want a husband who does nothing. Condition 3, she doesn't say out loud, but she writes it down and keeps the paper. The wedding is planned by Margaret. You mostly show up. The children don't come. The daughter sends a letter. It says, "You're making a mistake." Aisha texts, "Where are you? Why aren't you calling? Are you okay?" You call Aisha. You tell her you're getting married. To someone else. She deserved better than that call. The wedding happens. Small, garden, yellow roses everywhere. She looks beautiful. You didn't plan to think that. She says her vows. She means them. You say yours. Some of them you mean. That's more than you expected. You move into the mansion. You have your own wing. Biscuit sleeps at the foot of your bed. You call your parents. You don't tell them everything. They hear something different in your voice. The first year of marriage, you learn more about Margaret than you planned to know. She is smarter than you, significantly. This is clear within a month. She knows about finance in a way that would surprise you if you hadn't watched her run that foundation. She asks you to help with the foundation's Young Entrepreneur Grant program. You do it. You're good at it. You care about it. This was not the plan. Year 2. Margaret is still in excellent health. She walks 3 miles every morning. Her doctor calls her results remarkable for any age. She quotes him at dinner. You start doing math you're ashamed of. Year 2.5. You message Aisha. After 14 months of silence, you say, "I made a mistake," Aisha replies. She's moved on. She's dating someone. She says, "I hope you're okay." Year 3. Margaret's youngest son visits. He's nothing like the others. He actually talks to you. He says, she talks about you constantly. When she calls me, half of it is you. You feel terrible. You feel good. You feel terrible about feeling good. Year 3. You stop doing the shameful math. You don't examine why. Margaret starts a new project, the Young Entrepreneurs Fund. She puts you in charge of it. The first grantee is a 23-year-old from Miami. Her idea is good. You fight for her. She gets the grant. She sends a handwritten thank you. You put it on the desk. Year 3.5. The daughter visits. She watches you with her mother for a full day. At dinner, she says, I still don't like what you did, but I can see it became something else. Margaret catches your eye across the table. Her expression says, I told you. Year 4. Margaret gets a cold. It lasts 2 days. You barely sleep. When she recovers, she says, you look worse than I did. That night you sit in the garden with Biscuit. You think about the notebook in the motel room. You make a decision. You're going to tell her everything. Again. Everything you haven't said yet. You tell her the next morning. All of it. The parts you kept back. She's quiet for a long time. Then she says, I already knew most of it. She asks, what are you telling me this for? She says, that's a better reason than most people give for honesty. Usually they confess for themselves. She gets up. She makes more tea. She doesn't say anything else about it. She calls her lawyer that afternoon. You don't know about it. 6 months later. Margaret asks you to come to the study. She has papers. Many papers. She places them on the desk. She says, I've been working on this for 6 months. My lawyer, my accountant, the foundation board. She slides the papers across. The top page says, the Margaret Foundation Full Endowment Transfer. $204 million. Given to charity. Every dollar. Permanently. You look at her. She says, I always knew, dear. She says, I wanted to see what you would become. I think you became something decent. But the money was never going to be yours. You say, that's fair. She says, the foundation job is yours if you want it. Full salary. You've earned it. You take the job. You call your parents. You tell them everything this time. The daughter calls you. She heard about the donation. She says, now I can actually respect you. Margaret walks her 3 miles the next morning, and the morning after that. You did not get the $200 million. You got something you didn't plan on. Whether that's better is a question only you can answer. She is 82. She is in excellent health. She has outlived 2 of her doctors. And she is absolutely not done. Empire Vault.